My cousin was heated. You know what I'm saying? But Cube was cool about that. And I talked to Kevin Hart for a long time. And, you know, he let me know some gems, which I'm not going to go into that story. We'll go in. But Kevin Hart is a dope dude. Although he did say we'd have a meeting after the fact, tell his assistant my name and all my information. I told her. And I never got a call, which, you know, it happens in the industry. You know what I mean? Whatever. But he was still a cool dude. He still checked out some of my stuff that I played him. You know, whatever. But as far as the story in question, we're on this scene, and it's the scene before they give the big toast, you know, at midnight or something. And, you know, it's a dancing scene. But everybody's got to play like they're dancing. Now, when you're doing that, the people are dancing, and then the music stops, and they give in their dialogue, you know what I mean? But you're still, you know, you're acting like you're dancing, like you're still hearing music, so you better keep the beat. You know what I mean? And some dude just fell the fuck out. Like, literally, I don't know if he was epileptic or if he had a problem or what the... But the dude just fell the fuck out. Like, literally just jumped out and started twitching. And I say Ice Cube saved the life because people were just looking at dude. Like, we was all standing around. I was like 10 feet away from dude. You know, and I was looking at him, and I was looking at, you know, people around me going, yo, dude fell out. And I didn't know if he was fucking around at first, because at first, you know how people clown around on a movie set. You don't know what's what. It just happened after they called cut. Dude went down, so you don't know if he's fucking around. But Ice Cube actually was the one, and big ups to Ice Cube, and I don't know if it's allowed to be told. I can't remember if we signed NDAs or not when we were signing all that paperwork, you know, when he was cutting checks and feeding us the food at craft service and all that, but
Jersey, New Jerusalem.
Boxcar Productions, another smash.
Our future's bright, nothing but clear skies. Barslow and Chain, who's down to fly?
And if you ain't with it, forget it. On to the next now.
Who's down to fly?
Let go.
I'm gonna tell the story anyway, because big ups to Ice Cube and big ups to Jeong. So Ice Cube sprang into, and he backed everybody up. You think that Ice Cube was like a paramedic or something? He backed everybody up. He was like, yo, get somebody in here now. He was adamant about it. He was concerned about the dude that fell down. You know, he was mad cool. He was like, anything I can do. And Jeong, being a doctor before he was an actor, he came over, started checking the dude out until, you know, the EMTs or whoever the hell got there and took care of this dude. So, I mean, it was a little dramatic of my assistant to say, you know, well, you know, the story about Ice Cube saving a life. But Ice Cube did kind of save that dude's life, because if everybody else would have stayed the way they were staying, you know, all clumped up on this dude and he couldn't breathe, or he didn't start backing people up, because people weren't backing up on their own. Ice Cube jumped in there and was backing people up, you know what I mean, to give the dude some space, and got and called out for Ken, you know, and Ken, you know, actually Ken was on a phone call. He dropped the phone call, ran over to the dude and started taking care of the dude, you know, I guess putting shit in his mouth so he didn't bite off his tongue or whatever. But, you know, it was dope. You know what I mean? It was cool to see. You know what I'm saying? Like doing real people shit. You know? So big ups to Ice Cube. You know what I mean? And put me in a movie, bro. But, so there's that. And as far as the situation story, I'll make that real quick. Basically, that was just a stupid story. It was more bigged up. I was always a big person the way I came up, and everything you've heard about me thus far, I would give you the shirt off my back, and I'll give you the benefit of the doubt till you prove me otherwise. I love where I'm from. I love Jersey. I want to big up Jersey. Unfortunately, the only person, you know, which I love him, you know, big up to the boss, but the only person in our area that's ever been famous is Bruce Springsteen. You know what I mean? You know, of course, Borealis was a rock rap group that kind of blew their deal. I don't know why they did that, broke up, or the label, or drugs. I don't know the story. I should know the story, but I don't know the story. I met the dude from the group, and he gave me their second album, which is dope. You know, I think it's dope. Kind of like Linkin Park-ish, 311 before those groups. But for all intents and purposes, nobody really blew up from our area except for Bruce Springsteen. You know, So then you come through with this show, Jersey Shore, which is the polar opposite of the way I've lived my life. You know what I mean? To be honest with you. I mean, some of my white friends, you know, not to make this a race thing, but just is what it is. Some of my white friends, you know, and I, when we go to parties and stuff, kind of partied like that with the drinking and whatever, and, you know, stuff that happened on the show, and it was in our area, you know, so that was what we had, you know. So I said, you know what? The situation's right from the next town over. And everybody I talked to where I got my hair cut, where the gym I went to, everybody said the dude was a herb. He's a tool. He's always been egotistical about himself. You know what I'm saying? You know, you watch and see. And then as the show went on, you know, he always was putting a spotlight on himself, which I think is what they tell them to do. I can't believe that he was like that on his own. You know what I mean? But I met them a couple times. I met Paulie D. Big up to Paulie D. You know, whether it's him or his people, you know, he was one of the people that follow me on Twitter or something like that, and said some nice things here and there, you know, which big up to Paulie D. I got nothing but great things to say about him. He was always cool. I always used to see him out at the clubs. He'd pound me up, you know, whatever. I never really bothered them cats. You know, I tried to pass him off some music here and there. But so the first 5 years of the season went down the tube. I guess he got found out about his tax thing. So I would just happen to be in the area and went to his offices where him and his brother had an office. Long story shorter, we talked. He asked me if I wanted a picture. I said, I really don't want a picture. He said, come on, let's take a picture. So I said, all right. And I was like, all right. I met him a couple times. Everybody said he was an asshole. He doesn't seem like an asshole. You know, he actually was nice to me. We sat there, we spoke, we flicked off a picture or two. He went into a meeting. He said, I want to talk to you, hang out. He went in his meeting about whatever he went into his meeting about with his lawyer. He came out and we had about a 30-minute conversation about my music, about my acting, about things I wanted to do. And I was, you know, anybody that knows that there's a time in your life when you're just desperate for a deal and you'll do anything to get it. You know, ergo signing my first record deal and everything I've been through up to that point. So I said, you know what? This dude is famous. He's at the MTV things. He's whatever. All it takes, the way the media is you being with the right person at the right time. So I went to him and I said, look, dude, we'll cut the bullshit, man. You know what I mean? You know, whatever managers are getting, I'll double it. You know what I mean? Just represent me, fuck with me. You know what I mean? Like, and he looked at me in the eye. This is the only thing, because as a father, as a grandfather, as a good friend, as a family guy, as a dude that would give the shirt off my back to anybody that's a real dude, if you say word is bond or I promise, which is kind of the same thing, you know what I mean? You better be on point with it. He looked at me in the eye and he said, listen, that all sounds good. I can't promise you I'll do anything with it, but dig, I'll give you a meeting and we'll talk about what we can do together. You know what I'm saying? If your music is as good as you say it is, you know what I'm saying? I'll fuck with you. Word is bond. I don't know if you, and this word is bond, quote unquote. I don't know if you know much about Italians, but when we say word is bond, word is bond. I will give you a meeting. He looked at his brother Mark and he said, Mark, give dude the card. And I wasn't going to be sweating him like, yo, what about your personal number? You're giving me a guarantee. Your word is bond. Give me your number. I didn't do that. You know what I mean? Because I'm not that thirsty. You know what I mean? I wanted to get a deal. And it would have been as good a deal for him as it is with me. You know, because trust when I tell you, you know, when people, you know, got to know me, got to know my real personality and my music, you know, and I'm a good dude. You know what I mean? Like, for real, you know, it would have been good for him, too, to make something off of my back, be it, I don't know, whatever role that he decided to take on. Manager, consultant, PR guy, whatever. So that was the case. He promised me that. You know what I'm saying? Despite everybody saying negative about him, I had his back through everything. Nah, I don't talk about dude like that. It ain't like that. I'm talking about everybody that knew him better than me. They went to high school with him. They got his hair cut. They went to the gym with him. And nobody liked this dude. And that's the real story. Nobody liked this dude that I ran into. You know, and allegedly, I don't know, because I'm not, you know, a history buff about him, but people say, yeah, that's his boy from high school. That's his boy that he worked out with. That's the boy that always cut his hair. You know, so I'm thinking he's a reliable, but in any case, I had his back through all that. Then we had our meeting, so I'm thinking, hey, we good. You know what I mean? I felt good about having his back. Then the next season comes out. Oh, no. Before that season came out, I'm reaching out to him. So now I got a few tracks underway. I did a couple festivals, you know what I mean? I did a couple, you know, shows. They went well. You could see like a lot of stuff on my Instagram, you know, different people that came out for different shows and, you know, gave a little testimonial or asked if they could even do videos. Some we asked, some of my people asked, some people actually sent them to us, whatever. And so I sent them the new stuff. Like, here's the makings of the album. You know, I didn't hear nothing. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to sweat the dude. So I call him up and his brother goes, yeah, who the hell is this? And that's exactly what he said. Who the hell is this? I said, yo, this is Mikey Barslow. He goes, yeah, what do you want? I said, yo, I don't know if you remember, I was in that meeting that day, me and him. He said, well, he's going through some heavy stuff right now. So, you know what I'm saying? Basically, kick rocks. Give us a call back in a couple months after the holidays. I said, all right, well, whatever, man. I respect that. Gave him about 3 months. I had more tracks done. Now we had a couple videos done. Now we're ready to rock and roll. All right? And I call him again. His brother answers the phone. You know what I'm saying? Says, listen, man, you know, we're really busy, man. You know, I don't know what you think, you know what I mean? But he's one of the biggest stars in America. You know, his show. And I said, all right, I get all that, man. You know, I was just basically like, blah, blah, blah. All right, I get it. I'll call him. Just tell me when, because he said to call him. I'm not sweating him, but I do want to show you what I got in hopes to get this popping with us, and it's good for you too. He said, listen, man, if you could put it in an email, or you know where we are at the office, drop it by the office, and we'll get back to you. So that's what I did. Not only did I drop my stuff in an email, I dropped a pitch for a TV show. And this is real talk. It's in an email to his brother. So, you know, my ass is covered. You know, basically I sent that out, and basically it was a pitch for a show without the cast of the Jersey Shore, because that was now done. I'll look at the camera. That was now done. And I said, yo, let's make a show about you. And instead of Paulie D, let's make Marky in there. Let's get some shine. And then your other brother, Frank, he's doing some acting, ain't he? Yo, let's get him in the show. And your sister, she's kind of fly, man. Let's get her in there, man. Get her some shine, man. You know, get mom and dad. Let's make it about the situation show. Call it It's a Situation. I don't know what I said, the title. But I said, let's do that. And then every other episode, you know, you can come to the studio and check out your new artist, Mikey Barslow. And then when you go to the Video Music Awards, you could take me with you. And then the paparazzi's gonna say, hey, Situation, who do you got with you? And you can say, hey, I know the acting, the DJing, the singing, basically everything I ever did except for this reality show didn't work out for me, but I am a good business mind, and I got this dude, and by the way, it's Jersey, you know, let's make Jersey great again. You know what I'm saying? And he's a real hip-hop artist. Yo, this is Mikey Barslow, and we would be popping. You know what I'm saying? But that didn't happen. They shot the show with, you know, it was exactly, you know, for the sake of argument, maybe it was a coinky-dink, but I call up one more time. His brother says, listen, if you call us again, we're getting you for harassment. Now, mind you, 2 phone calls and 1 email in 6 months period of time is not harassment. And the Situation told me to call and said word is bond. That's why I did it. You know what I mean? You know, I held you at your word, and that's why it's a big deal to me. You know what I mean? But I still tried to reach out and say what happened to dude before I started telling this story, before I started putting him on blast, or like people say, throwing shade or whatever. I'm just jealous. You know, what do you think? Don't you think a lot of people want a deal? He hears it all the time. But he didn't tell 1 million people, call me, let's get something popping. If it's popping, we'll make it happen. And if he says my shit ain't popping, that dude's delusional. You know what I mean? Because my shit is popping. You know what I mean? Mr. Before YouTube fucked me up a couple times, that had 400,000 views. Not that I give a shit about views, but the people do. 400,000 views in 3 days. And then they said third party claimant. And then we posted it without changing a thing, posted it again. It was at 300,000 views. You know what I'm saying? They took it down again for copyright infringement, which, you know, whatever, man. YouTube is what it is. It's an avenue. It's the only platform out there for videos that I know of. But we were popping. So the whole thing was that And now next thing I know,